You're peer-to-peer, am I correct?
You can literally now rent from, a stylish woman that you follow on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or whatever. And that's really the premise of Buy Rotation. So we launched 5 months before COVID happened.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to rent clothes.
Yeah.
So we basically had no demand on the app. Instead of...
Oh, she takes a deep breath.
My mom dressed us a lot though when we were young, and I look at our photos, the film photos, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, we were very chic.
Did you have a sort of finance work uniform?
Yeah.
And what did that look like?
It's so funny because I was actually teased a lot by the guys on the floor for it. I just feel like fashion doesn't really... I think luxury, expensive fashion, it no longer impresses me.
Today, I'm going on a style journey with the founder and CEO of the clothing rental app, Buy Rotation, the extraordinary Eshita Kabra-Davies. Hello and welcome, Eshita. How lovely to see you.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for having me.
It's a pleasure. I mean, we've never met before, but I'm so hugely impressed by the business you've built. You came into it from the investment world. What inspired you to start Buy Rotation?
It's simple, and it's very much a first world problem that I was facing, which a lot of us face in the United Kingdom. What to wear when I'm going on a trip, on a holiday. And this was my honeymoon, so a trip of a lifetime. And I started thinking about all the different cities we were going to in Rajasthan in India, where I was born, also my motherland, right? And I was thinking about how I wanted to match all my outfits to all these incredible places I'd go visit in the desert. And that's when I started thinking, how cool would it be if I could borrow clothes, rent clothes for this trip of a lifetime? And then when I started doing some research as to what the options were in the UK and even globally, it became obvious to me that all the clothing rental businesses were either, high street stores where you could rent things like suits and ball gowns, or they were inventory-based businesses that have massive warehouses in the US, in China, in Singapore, and India. But none of them really had this business model where I could just reach out to a very fashionable, stylish woman on Instagram who would post her outfit of the day photos and be like, hey, can I rent your dress and give it back to you in a week's time? So that's when I started thinking about the idea. And then I went on my honeymoon in February 2019, and I couldn't help but notice the huge amount of textile waste that I was seeing in a suburban hometown where I was from in Rajasthan. And that's when I felt very much like, maybe there's a bigger, wider problem here besides me wanting to wear new clothes, nice clothes, designer clothes for my holiday. Maybe there's a massive problem of waste in the fashion industry. And when I started looking up, metrics and stats around things like how much clothing goes to landfills, fashion industry being the second most polluting industry in the world.
Yep.
And then, thinking about my own consumption practices and habits as a shopaholic who grew up in Singapore, it became very clear to me that the way that people consume fashion is linear. We produce, then we buy, we maybe wear, 5 times, and then we end up donating or just throwing away, worse. And all of these end up in landfills of Asian and African countries. And that's when I was like, this idea that I have for renting clothes and borrowing outfits, why don't we do that from each other? Just as we've seen other sharing economies such as Airbnb and Uber.
And instead of being like the traditional rental clothing app,
with the warehouses.
You're peer-to-peer, am I correct?
Yeah. So you can literally now rent from, a stylish woman that you follow on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or whatever. And that's really the premise of Buy Rotation. We've been likened as the Airbnb of designer fashion.
Like Airbnb, there's a huge level of trust within your by rotation community?
So if you look at the by rotation app, it's been designed like a social network. Kind of looks like Instagram, but with a booking feature. So people end up messaging each other. So on a listing, you'll see their own description. You'll see reviews left by other people who've rented it in the past. You can also rate and review whether it was true to size or if it was larger or smaller. And yeah, I think that's how we've kind of built trust and confidence within the community itself. And then when it comes to things like security, you know, how do you know if you're renting from a real person, or how do I know that I'm lending to someone who I can trust? We've got ID verification, phone number, you know, credit card holes. We kind of, you know, it's almost easier to steal from someone in the street rather than on the by rotation app, because we have you know, all this digital information, this footprint on you. So it's been very, very gamified as well, because you unlock different items as you build up your reputation on the app. So if you look at the app and you download the app, you know, we've built the world's largest shared wardrobe in less than 6 years. There's over...
That is extraordinary.
Thank you.
Would you put any of that down to the fact that you were building that inventory in inverted commas during COVID?
Yeah. So we launched 5 months before COVID happened.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to rent clothes. Yeah. So we basically had no demand on the app. Instead of...
Oh, she takes a deep breath.
Exactly. And, you know, I had just given up my career in finance, you know, my 7-year-long career working in the industry for no paycheck. And that's when I was like, well, I can't go back to my ex-boss and beg for a job back. What I can do during this time is educate people on fashion rental and peer-to-peer in particular, and use that awareness and education. Since we have a captive audience, because everyone was online and baking banana bread, we can use this captive audience to educate them and hopefully convert them to start listing their wardrobes on the app during the lockdown. You know, you had a lot of people Marie Kondoing and clearing out their closets and things like that. So it was a good use of time for us during COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, I think this makes sense, and it's a free to use app. I have nothing to lose. So you can see, you know, there's like a huge range of items from contemporary to ultra designer and then to completely rare. You know, there are Chanel bags, there are Birkins on there. There's like vintage Ralph Lauren from 1994 that Blair Waldorf wore on the Gossip Girl episode.
But you have to be... Unlock. And so how do you unlock? By being a good renter?
Yeah, exactly. You almost have to, you know, I don't want to say kiss a few frogs, because you're still renting beautiful items such as like Gunny dresses and Rixo dresses and things like that. But you gather enough ratings and reviews, and that helps you unlock the Chanel bag and then eventually the Hermes bags. And that's how we've made our community really invested in how they use the by rotation app. You know, they're very engaged, and their profiles are their profiles are like beautiful CVs that they've essentially like, you know, spent a lot of time cultivating.
And then, so how do you suggest people price their items? Because that must be a science in itself, isn't it?
We base it off the retail value, but obviously, if you think
do you do the pricing, or does
we suggest it?
Right.
Kind of like Airbnb, we suggest it. But if you think, no, this is a really rare, sold out, you know, Vivienne Westwood dress that is no longer made and it's a collector's item.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to rent it out for the weekend or a week, then you could always price it very high. And equally, if there's a lot of these dresses, and if you just want to get rentals, you can price it below and undercut everyone. So the market, you know, the laws of a marketplace, demand and supply, definitely prevail. Kind of brings me back to my background working in finance.
But how do you know on bags, for example, that they are the authentic thing?
We don't. And that's the only thing. So if you received a bag and you were like, this is not authentic, or I'm not sure it is, we would ask the lender. And ideally, they would already have ratings and reviews that confirm other people have vetted them and rented from them and are happy with them.
Yeah.
But if you have any doubts, we would give you a full refund And for them, it would be a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's actually a new way to look at fashion altogether. Because people now, when they go shopping, they think, oh, I'm not going to buy all these high street clothes anymore. I'm just going to invest in the designer item itself because I can spread the cost by renting it out to others, and I can also own it for myself and then eventually resell it.
Yeah. I mean, it must in a way be hurting the designer occasion market. Have you been approached by any brands who work in that area to sort of, work with them instead of just peer-to-peer?
Yeah, we have quite a few brand profiles on the app, and actually quite a few British ones, which we're really excited by. We've got Lulu Guinness, we've got Roxanda.
Yeah.
We've recently been working with the more contemporary Karen Millen as well.
Yeah.
It's been kind of interesting seeing like British homegrown brands who want to ensure that they are making their price point more affordable to people who may not be sure about purchasing the item upfront.
Do you have a sort of base level RRP, recommended retail price, that you will only take from that level on up?
So it's £75 and above, which isn't that much money, actually.
Much.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at high street fashion as well, a lot of it has gone up in price. It's, and then obviously on the other side, you've got ultra fast fashion giants, which we definitely do not allow on the platform at all.
Yeah. Where are you on the AI journey?
In the AI side of things, we are actually experimenting at the moment, and all the admins on the app have it, for a reverse image search. So essentially, if you uploaded, I don't know, an outfit that you've dressed Princess Diana in, and we're looking for something similar, you could find it by uploading that image, and then it'll show you all the various listings there on the By Rotation app to recreate that look.
So what next for By Rotation?
So we're expanding in the Middle East, which is super exciting.
How exciting.
Yeah, there's I mean, maybe a few years ago and just after COVID, I would have said it's not the right place for us. Just because if you look at the local culture, I think the way they look at secondhand, it's not quite there yet. The same is said in Asia as well. We have, however, seen an influx of expats in the UAE and in Dubai in particular. Yeah. And a lot of them are actually from the UK and from Ireland and also Europe. And they are customers of By Rotation, or they want to be. And they've heard of it. And they're like, when are you guys coming here? Because we dress up a lot. And there's definitely like a larger than what your life actually is mindset and mentality there. Yeah. Which, perhaps could make way for our early adopters. Yeah.
And do you feel culturally that the local community in the Middle East is going to eventually adopt this way of thinking? Or do you think that's going to be a steeper mountain to climb?
I think that will be a steeper mountain to climb than in comparison to the UK, what we've experienced here.
Yeah.
We always thought we would get so much pushback that we'd be completely iced out by the fashion industry and by, people who are a bit more of the ownership mentality here. But actually, I think the Brits care a lot about sustainability. You see the media talking about it every single day, not just, in lifestyle publications, but also in broadsheet, as a point of news. So I think in the UK, we found we've really been embraced, I think, by, most people understand why By Rotation makes sense. I think in the UAE, there's a big stigma around secondhand. And I think that's, from culture and from religion, like, even in Chinese and Indian culture, on special occasions, you're expected to wear new clothes. And by new, they mean completely new, unworn clothes. So I think it'll be a harder mountain to climb when it comes to the locals. I do think, however, there might be some ways around it, such as, things like having access to a very rare vintage item or like a rare handbag, that might be enticing to them. That might be a way around it.
Fascinating. If your skin feels like it's changed overnight, you're not alone. What used to work suddenly doesn't, and new concerns like fine lines, dark spots, or breakouts appear. Our skin evolves, and our routines should too. Renew and Me creates dermatologist-designed, personalized treatments that adapt monthly to your skin's needs. Their advanced retinoid works 20 times harder than high street retinols to accelerate cellular renewal, smooth fine lines, even skin tone, and boost collagen. All precisely dosed in a dermatologist-approved formula. Paired with a smart base cream tailored to your skin type, it maximizes results while protecting your skin barrier. Expect smoother, firmer, more radiant skin in as little as 12 weeks, all with ongoing guidance from their UK-licensed dermatology team. Start your consultation today and get your first month of nightly active treatment for just £4.99 with code SDGLOW. Today we're going on a style journey, and it's your style journey. So how did you decide what you were putting on?
So I wanted to wear, I love high-waisted denim, and I'm wearing that right now. I think it makes me look taller because I'm not that tall. But there's this, I think I managed to trick a lot of people through my photos because of my body proportions and through very high heels. I'm wearing high-waisted denim.
By who?
By DL 1961 denim. They are actually a circular denim company, which for me is just, it's hard to do denim in a sustainable way. And I think
very
they've got
hard.
it right.
And so how are they doing it?
It's all through offcuts from what I understand. And then I'm wearing a Stina Goya blazer. It's a velvet one, which I think it's kind of great for autumn winter.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. And I had bought it in Norway right after we got married to see one of my best friends. And yeah, it kind of reminds me of that trip, you know, recently married, having a cute little time looking at the screen in the National Gallery in Oslo.
Yeah.
And it's actually a great jacket to wear. I've interviewed live on Bloomberg TV in this as well. It's just one of those, it makes you look professional, but also fashionable.
And very luxy.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
Gorgeous.
It's like a smoking jacket.
Gorgeous. So you grew up between India, Singapore, and the UK, am I right?
Yeah.
So where did you go to school in that lot?
So I was born in India, in Rajasthan.
Oh,
and then
where in Rajasthan?
Actually where I was born. It's not where people from abroad would go to. It's not a tourist-friendly place. It's where we actually live.
Yeah.
It's called Bhilwara, and it's known for its textiles.
Oh,
men's suitings in particular.
Wow.
So less on the women's side. But, you know, I think fashion and textiles and textile mills, it's something that I probably subconsciously grew up with.
Yeah.
Because my late uncle used to have a textile mill he ran. But I moved to Singapore at the age of 2.5 because my parents were in the marble and granite construction business. And there was a huge housing boom in Singapore back then. For malls, for condominiums, you know, you name it. There was Indian, Italian, and Chinese marble and granite there. So yeah, that, you know, I grew up in Singapore since the age of 2.5, and then I moved to the UK for university. So I'd say I grew up in Singapore, but I really became the person that I am in London.
And were you wearing a school uniform in Singapore?
Yeah. I would say Singapore is very similar to the UK. And, you know, it's Commonwealth at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had this like, well, I went to a few different schools, obviously, but we had like this tartan little skirt and like a blouse, and I just love that tartan skirt so much. It's actually very British.
Do you still love tartan as a result?
I do.
Interesting.
I do.
Were you very aware of your parents' style?
My mom had great style, especially when we were very, very young, when I look at the photos. Then I think when she got a bit older, I think she sort of, it feels like she didn't care so much about fashion. I think we were the ones who were probably more, you know, interested in teenage fashion.
When was your first memory of clothes making you feel different?
My mom apparently says, and I think there's a photo to prove it, that I went into a store when I was about 6 years old, and I asked the salesperson to show me all the pink dresses they had.
The pink dresses?
The pink dresses.
Right.
I wanted to look like a princess, I insisted. And then I just walked out with one.
Do you remember putting it on?
No. I just said, I want this. And then I held it and I looked it up. And I think my mom wasn't even in the store. She was in the store next door. I was like, okay, I'm taking it. My mom will deal with it. And I just left.
My mum would deal with it.
Yeah.
Was it putting that dress on when you got it home that you thought, I'm a
No,
princess?
I didn't get to keep it. So I was like, oh, okay, I don't get to be a princess. And I think maybe that's why growing up, I was kind of like, well, I'm not really sure yet of my style and my personality. My mom dressed us a lot though when we were young, and I look at our photos, the film photos, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, we were very chic. My mom had really good taste. She was newly moved to Singapore. She was a young mother, as you would be back in the day in India. And she was getting her taste of dressing in Western clothing too. And that's when, people like Princess Diana would have such a big influence in Asian culture. And you'd see all these amazing sort of silk and chiffon blouses that she had bought for herself. And they would be like a silk chiffon white blouse with a matching trousers, really long trousers with like a vest jacket on it as well. And then for us, she would buy like these leopard print, like cord, like skirt and top. And I was like, yeah, and I was like, this is so chic. And we all had like chic bob haircuts. I think at one point I had like a little fake Chanel bag because, I don't think it was like, it didn't have the CNC logo on it, but I think it was meant to look like a Chanel bag.
Yeah.
And I was just like, my mom is I look back at those photos and I was like, my mom was very stylish, and she wanted to dress as stylish, not like a basic, you're a girl, you need to wear pink dresses all the time and floral frocks and things like that.
And then you came to the UK for uni.
Yes.
And do you think you'd really sort of found your fashion mojo then? So when did that all start?
So the thing is, growing up in Singapore, we didn't have seasons.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know how to style boots and tights.
How cold and wet and miserable it can get.
Yeah. And the fact that it changes. So actually you don't wear some things. And like you're meant to wear a denim jacket right now. That's not something I would know. I thought you just own a coat and that's it. Like I wouldn't have thought you own what's the point of a leather jacket? When are you supposed to wear it? I didn't know that. I grew up in Singapore where it's 30 degrees.
Yeah.
It's hot, humid. So sometimes it rains. So, you just wear shorts, you have an umbrella, or you wear anything loose. So I found that and I had to navigate it myself. I didn't go to fashion school or anything. I was studying business management at Cass Business School. No one was that super interested in fashion. Everyone was very chic though. They would all have, their cute little Prada, Balenciaga bags on the first day of uni. And I was like, okay, these people are cool. They know their fashion, but they're very, they're just dressed very effortlessly. It was a very, I would say, European heavy school. And that's when I was like, I need to figure out how to dress according to season. That's the most important thing. I don't need to figure out how to dress in different cool outfits and, mix and match colors and patterns. I just need to get the basics because I don't even know the basics.
And where did you go to get the basics? Do you remember?
I think when I was a student, I was shopping at places like COS and other stores, whatever you have on your budget.
Yeah.
Again, in Singapore, and I think to date, these brands are considered to be more expensive than the local fast fashion brands.
Yeah.
So I think things like Zara, in Singapore dollars, a dress at Zara right now is probably $250.
Ooh.
So it's not considered cheap there.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah.
And then you went into finance.
Yeah.
Did you have a sort of finance work uniform?
Yeah.
And what did that look like?
It's so funny because I was actually teased a lot by the guys on the floor for it. Then eventually bullied by a woman for it.
Please don't tell me that.
Yeah, it's funny because it's true. I mean, it's true to a certain extent. I was very, part of the reason why I wanted to work in finance after doing 3 internships there during my university years was that I really liked how serious, the atmosphere was. I loved meeting all these brilliant minds and they dressed sharp. And I really liked that. And I think, I grew up in Singapore, which is a very formal sort of, society, I would say, like respect, manners, and things like that.
a little bit conservative?
Yeah, definitely. Like cleavage would be considered, overt.
Yeah.
In a place like that.
Unnecessary.
Exactly. Like you're trying to say something about yourself. Whereas here, no one cares. No one really gives another look. And that's when I was like, I think this is the industry I really like. Everything is ticking all my boxes. I can probably carry a designer bag here without being judged, So, and that's the shopaholic Singaporean in me. So when I started working, I remember as a treat, I bought myself a pair of Louboutins, with a red sole, stiletto. And it's funny because a lot of the guys on the floor, and I was in a team of 40 men and 3 of us were women, and 2 of them were in London. And I was the only one in Edinburgh where I started off my career.
Right.
And they were just teasing me in like a funny way.
Yeah.
They're like, aren't those really like Devil Wears Prada type shoes? And I was like, yeah, they're called Louboutins. And they're like, oh, sorry. And these are like old Scottish guys. And then they were like, so what bag are you carrying? What should I buy my wife for Christmas? And I was like, oh, it's a Balenciaga. And they're like, what is this? What is a Balenciaga? And it was really funny because the guys thought it was amusing that I was this girl who was, this Asian girl who, studied in London and now moved to Edinburgh for her job. And she was, she had personality when she dressed. And it's funny because I actually ended up being bullied by an older woman in the London team when she was once visiting. And she said, don't you want to be known for your work, not the way that you're dressed? You should just create a uniform for yourself at work and wear like a gray pantsuit. And I remember crying and I was like,
oh no.
Yeah, it was quite, because she singled me out and she brought me away to essentially tell me all these things about how, I should let my work do the talking and not my style. Like I don't need to bring my personality to work. This, just do the work and that's it. Yeah. But yeah, I guess it's maybe like one of the reasons why I might have found it by rotation. Because it is about bringing your full self.
Yes.
To your work, to your everyday.
Yeah.
And
did you change your style?
No.
Good
it's funny
girl.
because I went back to my office.
Girl.
I went back to my desk and my boss, old Scottish guy, really nice, tough love. He obviously knew, he could see from my eyes that I'd been crying. And he was like, what happened? Who did you meet? And I said, oh, this person asked me to meet them. He's like, what happened? Did they say something to you? And he was the one who was like, ignore everything she said. I'm going to raise a complaint about this. And you can wear whatever you want.
Good boy.
He was just like, we never cared about this. We actually thought it was interesting that you didn't want to make this a stuffy place and bring your entire personality. And it's funny because working on the investment floor and investment team, the whole point of hiring people that come from different backgrounds is that they bring different investment perspectives as well.
Totally.
It breaks groupthink and herd mentality.
Yeah.
And that can happen when you're a group of 39 Scottish old white males, Yeah. They wanted this, they celebrated it. And she was telling me to have a grey pantsuit uniform.
How sad. I don't even want to go there.
But I do love dressing corporate, and I still dress like that on my board meeting days.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, on the board meeting days, or actually more specifically on fundraising days, what do you reach for to wear?
Oh God, no. Fundraising, different. I did 17 calls in a day.
Right.
So I was clearly in a hoodie, probably not showered, and the people on the call knew that. But I was it's gotten to a point.
But it wasn't a video call.
It was a video call.
Right.
But I had gotten to a point where I think that's one of the things I felt now that I'm 6 years in, and I'm sure you must have felt this along the way. You get more comfortable in yourself and you know your story.
Yeah.
And if people haven't done their background research on you, then they shouldn't really be here. I remember in the first few years of founding By Rotation, and our brand colors are green and pink, I always wore loud green or pink dresses to ensure that By Rotation, like someone asked me, where was your dress from? And I'd say By Rotation. or to ensure that by rotation had some kind of presence at an event or in my headshot photos, or if we were in the newspaper, your eyes would draw to it. But now I rarely dress in green and pink. I'm like, that's my business. I think my business has done all the talking. I think you already kind of know probably what we've achieved so far. The focus now is on my words.
Yeah.
So let's keep it there. And I think, I don't know, when I did the 17 calls within a day, it was very structured. It was like, you have this much time, ask me all the questions. Hopefully you came here with all the research and you have your questions ready for me. And it kind of built a dynamic where they respected my time and my position, so that if they wanted to invest, that was a contract.
Yeah. But I mean, you had the massive leg up of your years in
Before.
investment. Yeah.
Yes. And obviously when I raised the venture round that we did a few years ago, I was, I showered. I went to their office, I pitched. I was 45 minutes late to the meeting, which was, I had told them, I said, I'm sorry, the Uber was stuck in traffic. And they said, just take the tube. And I said, no, I'm wearing heels. So
Good girl.
But I was kind of also like, this is the kind of, I guess, it's a fashion forward woman who is pragmatic, but not pragmatic enough to take an Uber. It would seem to take the tube, sorry.
Take the tube. Or put some sneakers on and take the tube with your Louboutins in the bag. But sorry, I interrupted you. So when you've got a board meeting,
yeah,
what do you reach for a similar look every time, or?
I still have all my clothes from finance days, and so I reach out for something in those. It will be smart heels, always, and usually like a tweed blazer or jacket on top. It's just kind of sets the dynamic straight that, maybe I dress up and I go to industry events and, it looks like I have a glamorous and fun life. But when it comes to us discussing numbers and business plans, you have my full attention, and I'm here as a CEO. Yeah.
So do you think you message through your clothes?
I think so. It's a bit of signaling for sure. And it's not that I believe in lean in, Sheryl Sandberg's philosophy about how like we just have to get on with it and do what's expected and behave like one of the boys, one of the men. It's not that I believe in that, but I think, when in Rome, dress like a Roman, as they say.
Yeah.
So based on the situation that you are, just change your approach, be the chameleon.
In your wardrobe, how much do you rent out?
Almost everything.
Really?
With the exception of things like Chanel and like, Manolo Blahnik, the Hungersea, which is satin. I wouldn't be happy if they got scuffed. But yeah, almost everything. This is on the app. So yeah.
Oof. Yeah. And do you have any bags in particular that you won't rent?
The Chanel.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. And I've got an Hermes, which I wouldn't. I just feel like I don't really, but I have a couple of Lady Dior's on there.
Yeah.
Which I do ask though, like, where are you taking the bag if you're renting it? So, yeah.
And have you ever bought yourself something as a sort of reward to a fundraiser or just a particular milestone in your life?
We did a partnership with Net-a-Porter, and I remember, and it was also Diwali, to be fair. It's our Hindu festival, and we have this particular part of the festival which no husband likes. It's this festival where you have to buy gold in the household. Indians love gold, that's our thing.
Absolutely.
We probably have more gold in the Federal Reserves. And apparently the Lady Dior has real gold in it. So I said, listen, this is cheaper than going to Cartier, so just buy me. So I bought this really nice Lady Dior with like a water snake material, which, by the way, it's not endangered or whatever.
Yeah.
It's very common. And yeah, it's one of my like prized Lady Dior's.
Wonderful. Your Diwali.
Yes.
Dior.
Yes,
DD.
exactly. For closing Net-a-Porter.
Wonderful. If I were to say to you, you could only dress in 2 brands,
Ooh.
one high street and one designer, which 2 would those be?
Okay. Don't really wear high street anymore, just because we're quite, like rent instead of buying high street. Can I choose something else?
Okay, 2 designer.
To designer. Okay.
I'll give that one to you because I
Thank
know
you.
you've got your whole sort of rental wardrobe too.
Exactly. I think it's got to be something more contemporary. Will be Jacques Muse.
Yeah.
I just feel like of course, he's so good at Instagram. Like the business has really flourished because he knows how to do Instagram. But I think in terms of his eye, the first thing I bought from him was before he was big on Instagram. It was before his pink runway show in the lavender fields. It was my civil ceremony outfit. And my sister's like, you should buy him before he goes massive. And turns out now he's massive. So I think Jacques Muse, because I think his style has evolved and it's kind of like, he knows what women want to wear and women of all shapes and sizes. And I think his silhouettes definitely have been very flattering towards me, for me. And then I think the second brand, if I had to choose, Dior. Love Dior. If I could, I would love to wear ready to wear Dior all the time, every time.
Now, new Dior with J.W. Anderson, the aesthetic has changed dramatically.
I know, and I'm gonna say the previous Dior, which fashion industry doesn't seem to agree with, but I think it's me being kind of feminine and girly and Asian about it. But I loved the previous aesthetic by Maria
Grazia Chiuri. I mean, she really, really understands women and what we want to wear.
I loved that aesthetic.
It's
getting hate though from the industry.
It was truly, truly beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you were wearing when you first met your husband?
Yes, I do.
What was it?
It was this, actually it was beautiful, and I wish.
How did you meet him, first off?
We were planning a conference together. We were kind of, I don't want to call us nerdy, studious, geeky people, but yeah, we're both quite career-oriented, ambitious people, and pragmatic, and we met while we were planning a conference together. He was the president, I was one of the vice presidents. I was doing vice president marketing to try and get as many delegates as possible. And I heard him on the phone, so it was kind of love at first sound. I just
So you heard him before you saw him?
Yeah. Because we were in different cities and we were planning this conference together, and he was enlisting me. And when I heard him, I was like, oh my God, he sounds like, the Harry Potter type of English people that I never get to meet. Because my business school was full of Europeans and Russians and, Asians. There were like 2 British people in my business school, despite living in London. So yeah, I think it kind of started from there. And when he first saw me, I was wearing this really this bright red jumper from American Apparel, which obviously no longer exists.
Yep.
It had this floral applique, rose appliques all over it. Yeah. It was actually really popular back in the day, but I should have never sold it. And I think a skirt with it. It was not, the bottom part was not that great, to be honest. That's what I mean. I didn't know how to dress properly.
But so when do you feel you really nailed your style DNA?
Finance days. Yeah,
Finance day.
Definitely. I think I finally had my own salary, my own income, my own way of choosing how I wanted to spend it. Buying my first ever Burberry trench coat, when I started working in finance, these kind of things, I started picking up these things and being like, I want to invest in that, like a Mulberry Bayswater bag for your finance job.
Yeah.
It was just, I think that was the time when overall, it's when I became much more confident in myself and my self-esteem grew. Just seeing, I would make decisions of 80 million pounds within a matter of an hour. And, I was I had just graduated undergrad from uni. And I was like, are you sure you want me to make this decision? And my male colleagues, who were honestly my allies, they were like, yeah, this is your job. You need to make a decision. Go do research and tell us what we should do. And I think that's what made me get my confidence and my self-esteem.
Did you have a style icon?
I love Morticia Adams. I just love her.
No, I don't see you and Morticia Adams
Not right now. I'm
sentence.
working. No, I'm working right now. But I love her. We have a dark cookie side. But I also love Fran the nanny, Fran Fine, Fran Drescher.
Yes.
In the show The Nanny, do you know?
Vaguely.
It was big in the US and it was big in Singapore on Hallmark Channel. She always wore these like cute little skirts that had cord tops on them. I think I had a little bit of that, definitely.
I mean, you strike me as being incredibly well organized. I think it's the sort of investment analyst or banker or, part of you.
Yeah.
Do you plan your looks?
Yeah. Definitely. I just went to my friend's wedding in Ibiza and every outfit was on a spreadsheet for the day.
And so how do you go about that? Do you try everything on and do a mirror selfie?
No.
You just, you list it.
It's got to work. I'll take it and it has to work on that. We'll find a way to make it work. If it doesn't, we'll style it in a different way. But in particular, 2 weeks ago, I was in London for quite a few events. Then I went to New York for Climate Week. No, I was in London for Fashion Week for the Roxanda show. And then I went to New York Climate Week directly from the show. And then I was in Ibiza for my friend's wedding directly after. So it was non-stop. And I had to plan all my outfits. And I'm also very big on only having cabin luggage.
Oh, stop it. Don't tell me you did all of that with cabin luggage.
I did.
Oh my God.
And so did my husband. So it's not like I was taking it off his space.
And so you couldn't even rent an Ibiza and have it sitting there for you?
No. I had rented and taken it.
Right.
Efficiency is the name of my game.
Chapeau to you. That is really, really impressive. If your husband were to describe...
And I took 4 pair of heels. Sorry. Doesn't mean... Now I'm just showing off.
You really are. Oh my God. So, okay, just run me through that. What were the outfits looking like?
No, they were... For New York Climate Week, I went to the Met Gala, which was this amazing event where I was sat diagonal to Billie Eilish. And I was like, is this happening? It was such a great first ever inaugural event to raise funds for the climate crisis. And for that, I actually rented from someone in New York.
Perfect. Okay.
So the dress was
what did you rent?
Oh, I rented this completely sold out everywhere Tory Burch couture outfit. It has mirrors all over it.
Yes.
It's actually a type of Indian artwork.
Yes.
Artisanship. Yeah. And it's sold out everywhere. And this one woman, very chic woman, who lived near Gramercy Park in New York, she had it and I rented it from her.
Amazing. How much did that cost you?
It did cost $700. But the gala it's just one of those, it's a crazy work event. And honestly, the content that we got out of it for work, it was fantastic.
You don't have to justify it to me. So then that was one pair of the heels that went with that.
Yes, exactly.
Then your New York Climate Week.
Yes, I had quite a few meetings, roundtables, workshops. I was meant to speak on a panel, but I had to fly back for the Ibiza wedding. To that, I had a kitten heel Jimmy Choos, which was silver, which I never wear silver jewelry. I ended up wearing silver earrings to match with them. Fantastic. I felt like a different person. And I was re-wearing my clothes, but just with different shoes and earrings. And that was me, new Eshita. And then obviously I had trainers to go to the airport and running because I was late for my flight anyway. And then I had another pair, an option for the gala dinner, which I didn't wear, which was the Manolo Hungasi. So a pair that I didn't even wear.
And then you had all your Ibiza luggage in your carry-on?
Yes. So I went back, got home at 10 p.m., started packing because my flight was the next morning at 9 a.m.
So you came home between New York and Ibiza?
Yeah, I was going to switch within the Gatwick terminal, but British Airways told me they couldn't guarantee if I missed my connection.
Wow.
So
impressive.
Sorry, you thought it was direct from...
Totally.
That would have been tough.
What luggage do you use?
Samsonite, the cabin.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you've got it down to a science.
Aspinall of London has an amazing new bag. They call it, I'm trying to remember what it's called. Not Peeble or something like that. It's a really good cabin bag.
If I asked you how your husband would describe your style DNA in 3 words, What 3 words would those be?
Elegant, sultry, comfortable.
That's quite a combo, but I
think
love
so.
it.
Thank you.
I love it.
It's what I want him to say.
I think as human beings, particularly in the fashion world, we can all be a little guilty of sizing people up by what they're wearing. And I just wondered, is that something that you're conscious of doing?
I feel like in the last 6 years, I've realized that the problem in the fashion industry is not, and the problem of waste in the fashion industry, it's not just limited to fast fashion. You also see that in designer fashion. You know, you hear of brands burning their stock and things like that. I think luxury, expensive fashion, it no longer impresses me. So when you see someone being super flashy in the way they dress, I almost feel like, do they have nothing inside to offer, that they have to wear everything out all at once? So I don't know, I feel less drawn to it. But the fashion industry altogether, and I don't know how you feel about this, Amanda, but I just feel like if I had all the money in the world, I would love to live the life of the wild Thornberrys, who's like doing crazy safaris and not really bothering with what they wear and what they look like in society.
Technical, functional clothing.
But not even that. I think I just don't really care so much about the who's who and what are they wearing and all of that. I think maybe I've had overstimulation. You know, I've done so much of this in the last 6 years, even though 2 years were in COVID. I kind of see through it. So when someone tells me that they have the rarest, whatever, Birkin bag or whatever, it doesn't really impress me, because I think there's like a law of diminishing marginal utility. Like money and fashion cannot buy you a place.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
Yeah. Refreshing.
Was that answering your question?
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, really, really refreshing.
It's that saying, right? Like, clothes don't make a person. It's really like what's inside that makes a person.
Totally.
And I feel that more, having had so many experiences all squashed into a short amount of time in the industry.
Yeah.
And you've been...
Yes, I mean, you've had a very intense time in the industry.
I think so. And I'm glad I did, because I want the business to succeed, so I have to be everywhere. But I like my weekends to myself now, and I like them without me being in crazy fashion or...
So what's stay-at-home, chill-out Eshita wearing?
Probably my aloe or Vori, like yoga outfit or whatever.
Yeah.
Or PJs. I love Stripe and Stare, another sustainable female-run and owned brand. I don't really care that much. Do you know what I mean? About the aesthetic or whatever. Like, I just want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And hopefully my husband still finds it elegant and sultry.
Elegant and sultry, love that. Let's talk about hair, makeup, and manicures. What's the most important to you?
I'm wearing makeup for you today for the podcast.
Thank you.
I think I'm quite fussy about my hair. That's the one thing, because firstly, as you can see, it's quite light, which you can't really achieve usually for like South Asian hair. Well, and Asian hair in general.
Yeah.
And this is like a product of me going to George Northwood since 2022.
Yeah, genius.
And I've been going religiously. That's why the color's what it is. I think I'm kind of known for my hair as well.
Yeah.
Touch wood, I've been lucky to be blessed with good hair, which grows quite fast as well. But the color, it has to be right. Otherwise, I'm very fussy about that, basically.
Yeah.
Not fussy about nails and like manicures, pedicure. I just find them to be a waste of time.
Okay, so you are a low maintenance girl, except the hair.
I think the manicure mattered more when I worked with a bunch of men. Yeah. And we sat in a meeting room every day, like for meetings, and they looked
with very visible hands.
Exactly, or I'm typing on my Bloomberg keyboard, and where else can you look, right? The men are looking at your fingers and you're moving your hands. So I think I cared more when I worked in finance and when I had a corporate job. But now I just find it to take a lot of time. And I think there needs to be some sort of business, some sort of idea that needs to make it easier. I don't think stick-on works.
No.
But I think there needs to be some sort of idea. And then makeup, I just not really into wearing a huge amount. Would wear it for appearances, recordings. I think skin is more important.
And tweakments, how do you feel about
No,
that? I mean,
no.
you're way too young to even think about them, so I don't know why I'm asking that.
I have quite a few, like, I know a lot of people around me that do it, and obviously the industry is quite open about it. You see a lot of pressure on very young women to do it. I mean, I grew up in like a household where my mom frowned upon even wearing makeup.
Mm.
So I feel like I would be judged by her. There's definitely that Asian judgment that comes from the part of the world that I'm from. And I don't know, I kind of feel like I want to see how I evolve. Like, I just want to see it go natural. I might feel differently after I have kids or whatever.
Yeah.
But for now, I just feel like, let's see where this goes. And then we can take it from there.
Yeah.
Try and be as natural. I want to try and be as close to who I am as possible. These things, they're not the temporary, you know?
Yeah. Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Just coming back to your husband and getting married. What did you wear to get married?
So we had a civil ceremony at Old Marylebone Town Hall where we used to live.
Yeah. And what did you wear for that?
The Jacques Muse dress.
Gorgeous.
And this was like when, again, he hadn't even done the famous Pink Runway show.
Yeah.
So he was not that well known, and the prices were different, as you can imagine. And then...
Did you have an Indian wedding?
And then I had the Indian wedding, the Anglo-Indian. So my husband's British. I wore 4 different outfits. And
tell me.
Yeah, so my husband's from this, I guess they call it village, called Cookham, next to, do you know Clifton House? Maybe
yes.
That's the east, next to Clifton House. Yeah. So we got married at Hedser House, which is next to Clifton House. And so it was a very, I would say, English setting. And then we had an Indian Hindu wedding because I'm religious. He's not. Yeah. He's British. He's not very religious.
So did you have henna hands and
henna?
Tell me.
So I had like all the way until here. And then I had 4 different outfits. We had the night where you dance. You know, Sangeet, that's the musical performances. His parents also danced. He has a few Scottish relatives, so they did a Wakeley as well.
Lovely.
His cousin was wearing a kilt to the wedding and things.
But your husband wasn't wearing a kilt.
No. My husband isn't. And yeah, it's funny. My husband was joking. He was like, even though the wedding is in England, more of your guests from abroad have come to this wedding. And I was like, it's a destination wedding for them. But no, it was really nice. We had friends from all across the world who had come.
But you've got to talk me through the outfits.
So there was 4 outfits.
Yeah.
One outfit was this green and pink lehenga. So it's like a skirt and and it's a skirt and like a top, and it was by this designer called Anushri Reddy. And funny enough, because I have my outfits listed on the Buy Rotation app, my wedding outfits, that outfit gets rented all the time. Even as a wedding guest, you could wear it to someone else's. And it's made all its money back.
Wow.
It's actually once it upstaged a bride, and the renter was like, yeah, it was a lot. And I was like, I told you, I wore it as one of my outfits as a bride.
Yeah.
And then I wore for the Sangeet, which is the musical performances night. It's the night when you're meant to officially get engaged. So the day before you get married. I wore this Gaurav Gupta. I don't know if you've heard of this.
Yes.
He recently dressed Beyonce, I think, for her cowboy tour. I wore like this. It was the celestial ball because my husband loves space and I really care about astrology since I'm Hindu. So we had a celestial ball, and his work is very, ethereal and structural. So I wore this white ruffle gown, which was also like paying tribute to the fact that Western brides wear white.
Yes.
And then I wore yellow. I don't know how you say this. It's kind of like foil work. It's like silver foil.
Yeah.
On yellow and marigold for my haldi ceremony, which means turmeric ceremony. It's kind of like before you get married, you get cleansed sort of ceremony. And then the final ceremony was the fere, which is when you walk around the fire 7 times and
Yes.
your father gives you away. And that was it had like peacocks on it, and it was teal and pink. And I didn't wear red
I
because
was going to say, not red.
I didn't because my husband is white and it wouldn't suit his skin tone. And I wanted to just, be a bit mindful to make sure he looks good in his outfit too.
So did you sort of twin in some way with your husband?
Just the final one,
Right.
Because
in terms of colour.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I did have color dress code. I mean, if I look at my wedding website now, I kind of realize I was maybe like a annoying bride who was very particular. And all my friends now joke, they're like, we wish birotation existed during your wedding because of all these themes. So there were color dress codes, but I'd say our outfits perfectly matched for the wedding, the fairy ceremony. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
And were you in a sari for your wedding ceremony?
Always a lehenga.
Beautiful.
It's just because I don't know how to tie a sari.
I love it.
But also, I think like saris, maybe lehenga is kind of more youthful.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming to your wardrobe, is it phenomenally well organised?
Well, we just moved and bought a house, and there's renovation work that needs to be done. So, no. We're fighting for wardrobe space at the moment, my husband and I.
Right. Would you say you've had a worst fashion moment?
I mean, it's comical. It's not worst. I've definitely, as I said, I've definitely dressed questionably in my younger years, especially when I was first here in the university, trying to figure out how to dress for winter. But I think one more recent in my job now as the Birotation founder and CEO, I went to the Glamour Women of the Year Awards ceremony because I was part of their campaign with Samsung. And I was wearing this pink sheer Jacques Muse mermaid gown with like a long tail, like a long fishtail. And then I spoke to one of my friends in the industry, and he's like, hey, you're wearing the same dress as Rita Ora. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, she's wearing it in black. And I'm like, I have to see this. And I went up to her, and I was like, hey, I heard that we're wearing this. Oh, we are wearing the same dress. And she's like, oh. And I was like, how cool. It's like angel and devil, like, and she's like, yeah. And then she went to change. So I'm sorry.
I love it.
It's not my fault.
I love it. Now, I'm going to spin on some quickfire questions.
Okay.
Fashion advice you'd give your 20-year-old self?
Stop buying trends.
Which fashion trend or era would you most like to see make a comeback?
Oh, I think it's got to be, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen out and about with their Starbucks cups and their hippie outfits and Balenciagas. I just love my Balenciaga city. The 2000s.
Which fashion or beauty trend would you consign to room 101?
I think beauty trend would be contouring. No, just stop. And then fashion trend would be, there's like any strange trainer that's trying to be fashionable. I don't really like trainers. Unless you're going to the gym.
Your views on tattoos?
I'm not into them, personally. Just more because I think a lot of people seem to regret them. But if you fully don't regret it, then that's awesome.
Beauty treatment you couldn't give up?
Probably be a serum after face wash.
High-end or high street?
High-end. Rental!
Good! Bling or bear?
More recently, bear.
Minimalism or maximalism?
I think more recently, minimalism.
Couture or charity shop?
Charity shops don't have a lot of stuff for me in my size, and I shouldn't take them either. They should go to people who may need them more. So I think it would be couture.
For you.
Good one. That was a good one.
Crocs, cute or puke?
No.
Sneakers or stilettos?
Stilettos. That's why you're late for a meeting.
Bags or shoes?
Bags. No, shoes, sorry. Not trainers, though. What kind of... Heels.
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 Skinnies, boyfriends or wide legs?
I'm going to go with a wide leg, but they have to be high-waisted.
Bodycon or boho?
Boho lately. Can't do that anymore.
Sports luxe or rock chick?
Sports luxe.
Red carpet or relax?
Relaxed.
Trend or style?
Style forever.
Color or monochrome?
Color. I do like color.
Experimental or uniform?
Experimental.
Cashmere or cotton?
Depends on the season.
Beanie or beret?
Neither. Oh my God.
Hoarder or editor?
I think editor.
Shapewear or sexy lingerie?
Sexy lingerie.
Tights, stockings or hold-ups?
Hold-ups.
Bikini or one piece?
Bikini.
And finally, traditional last question at the end of the day, what do you or don't you wear in bed?
That's a personal question.
I take it you're not going to answer that one.
No.
Eshita, thank you so much.
Thank you,
What a
Amanda.
lovely, lovely conversation.
It was fun.
Really
Thank
good
you.
fun.